Get the kettle on, grab a brew, because you're listening to Coffee and Dark Reads. Hi guys, welcome back to Coffee and Dark Reads, and hi to the ones watching on YouTube. As I said, the way this is going to work for now is that I'm going to record the podcast, get to the end of the podcast, I'm going to cut it off, and we're going to carry on recording for a little bit extra YouTube. So we're going to get right back in with the story, which I left you with two young ladies just about to get into their new costumes. And we're back at 31 Overlook Hotel. This is Interlude 3 with the night manager, Hargrove Perth. So many guests, so little time. My gaze drifts to the grandfather clock as it chimes once. 1 a.m. already. How time flies. The majority of our guests have arrived, for the most part, right on cue, though the next ones that are due have allowed lingering doubts to rise deep in my soul. It is not often that a guest arrives with a rescue mission in mind. In fact, hardly anyone arrives at the Overlook in the hopes of saving another being. More often than not, they hope to devour one, sometimes 2 or even 3 of the other guests, if time permits. There have also been countless times when myself and the hotel have witnessed the arrival of those who meant, with the best of intentions, to be saviours to others, only to see them fail hopelessly and become prey themselves. "Come into my parlour," said the spider to the fly, I snicker, watching the black widow as she spins her web atop one of the keys that belongs to a room long not rented. "Come along, Karina," I whisper, extending my index finger to her. "We cannot weave a web where housekeeping will see it. We know better than that." She climbs upon my finger, and I carefully carry her into my room, placing her on the geranium, sitting in the open window. Just as the lights of the car linger in the distance, another guest is about to arrive. And Karos theory. I am struggling a little bit with some of these, because not only is it that we've got a fabulous font. My words out this morning. Karos Theory by Charlotte Bryce. This is Act number 3. She arrived in the back of a car like a princess attending a royal function, though her first glance from the car window was at anything but. A hotel loomed in the darkness, twisted in shadow and mystery. "Are you sure this is the right place?" she asked the driver. "Yes, ma'am," he replied, lifting the invitation and offering it back. "And we're here to save a rare shifter." Her soft voice spoke volumes of concern. She had walked into a trap one time too many. "The invitation says nothing about a shifter, just a ball." "Well then, Rowan, you will have the first dance." "Yes, ma'am." Rowan tipped his baseball cap at her. He climbed out of the car and opened the door for his mistress. Arlo slid round. Solid black boots hit the damp pavement before she rose upon long legs. Her corset tight top shifted with the twist, and she gave it a quick tug into position. There was a glimmer in Rowan's eyes. He knew what delights her tight clothing hid. She cut him down with a roll of her eyes and a small tut. They were here for work. Pleasure would wait. Arlo led the way up the stairs, while Rowan walked behind her, watching her ass. She knew he was. She expected nothing less from her lover. But there was something about the building that had her on edge. She could see it. A real building of bricks and mortar, and yet there was more to it. Rowan pulled aside the hotel door and held it for Arlo. She stepped inside, her long purple hair lifted with a breeze as she entered. Her eyes hunted around for an aircon unit to account for the breath of air in the still evening. "Hello, we have a reservation here, Arlo called to the figure at the desk. "You have the invitation?" "Of cold voice called across the reception. You invited us. Arlo paced across the floor. Her boots squeaked on the polished marble floor. What do you know about Karos? What is Karos? The night manager lifted her head as Arlo arrived at the desk and held a skinny white hand out for the invitation. Arlo's hand reached forward with the white card gilded in the beautiful silver lettering. But before the night manager could close her hand round it, Arlo pulled it back. What? She questioned. Rowan? Arlo spun so fast her boots made the squeak of a mole dying in the lawnmower, but she was oblivious to the night manager's shudder. What? Rowan shrugged as her gaze fell upon him. She tutted him again. Even disguised as her handservant, he had a rugged look to him. He was clean, undeniably so. She had scrubbed every part of his body, the delicious parts twice, but he still looked used. Of course, she liked a man who could get his hands dirty when the work demanded it, but a masquerade ball demanded a higher level of presentation. She only really approved of him when he was. May I have your invitation? The night manager rose from her chair with a reluctance that betrayed her age. The swivel chair she rose from wasn't a modern design for posture and comfort. So I'm just going to have a quick. Going to be honest, sometimes it can be hard reading other people's words. Sometimes it's hard reading your own words, but there you go. Arlo drew in a deep breath, closed her eyes and exhaled through her nose. She needed a Sherlock moment, time to process the breakthrough she had made in their case. Without a word, Raven tugged the card from between her fingers and passed it to the night manager. Just show us to our rooms, please. The night manager didn't say a word. She just tapped the guest book and pressed her palm on a small bell in the counter. Rowan lifted the feather quill and scrawled his and Arlo's names in the book. Take their things to room 227. Rowan turned to see who the night manager addressed, to find a young, nervous man standing over to the right. Don't worry, we don't bite. The bellboy didn't look overly reassured by Rowan's words, and he very gingerly took the case from the man. Rowan chuckled to himself as the pair followed him to the lift. Be nice, Arlo scolded. You wouldn't hurt a fly. I, on the other hand. Be nice. Rowan dug a finger in her ribs. She responded with an elbow in his. The bellboy glanced round as Rowan doubled slightly with an oof sound, but quickly straightened up with a nervous cough. The lift was the same as the reception, very grand yet covered with a blanket of darkness and mystery. Maybe it was the time of day. Maybe Arlo was just tired, but she was certain there was something and she was going to find out what. The bellboy played with his fingers in the lift, like his odds of surviving to their floor were barely 50-50, and he was out of the doors before they were fully opened. Rowan and Arlo shrugged at one another. This was not a place for a bellboy with a fear of lifts. Their room was barely 3 doors down from the lift. The bellboy unlocked the door, then handed Rowan the key card. Right, tell me this revelation you've had. Rowan closed the door and flicked the lock. He knew that look in Arlo's eyes. They certainly needed a breakthrough in the case. We've been trying to find Karos, with no luck. Maybe Karis is a what, not a who, Arlo declared, facing into the large room. This room was well lit and spacious, a stark contrast to the reception. I don't get what you mean, Rowan sat on the large bed, fearing a lengthy explanation was coming. We know that Karos is working against James Harvey too. If we can team up with Karos, we can achieve so much more than working separately. Maybe this invitation has nothing to do with Harvey. Maybe it's just a shifter needing help. Rowan stood up and walked to her side. Remember the days when all we did was help other shifters? Of course I remember. It was my idea. I've looked out for you our whole lives. It seemed right we should help out other little guys. Well, I'm not that little, Rowan. Rowan shrugged off his insecurities. He wasn't a small man. Arlo only matched his 5'10" height because of the fat heels on her solid boots. No, you're not. Her hand slid suggestively down the front of his trousers before she remembered her point. Anyway, Karos. We know he's been helping us, but we can't find him. What if he isn't just one person, but the name of an organisation? Karos could be 20 people all across the world. If that's true, how do we help them all? Rowan took Arlo in his grip, one hand round his waist, the other captured her wrist. This place has nothing to do with Karos or James or even a shifter to save. Come dance with me while we find out. He waltzed Arlo around the room until she fell giggling onto the bed. Arlo looked up at Rowan, her heart pounding in her chest, and she smiled. It would be good to forget their mystery hacker or their elusive enemy. Maybe the ball could just be a ball in a creepy hotel shrouded in mystery. No, the ball wasn't just a ball. This ball was a mystery in itself, a mystery that Arlo was overlooking in her obsession with James. A strange invitation sent anonymously to our temporary residence. We are overlooking something. She pushed Rowan from above her and stood up. Overlooking something, Rowan chuckled. In a hotel called the Overlook Hotel. Exactly, Arlo insisted. This ball is less a ball as much as a chess game. The guests are as the pieces, the ball is the board. Well, let's hope we're the king and queen and not just pawns, Rowan sighed. He laid back on the bed. The mattress was soft and he was tired. He wondered for a moment how hard it would be to confuse Arlo to join him in the bed. But he had just lit her fuse. Arlo could never walk away from a mystery. Help me get ready, Arlo purred at him, and he lifted his head in time for the corset to drop to the floor. Her breasts spilled free, beautiful and plump, and they destroyed all his thoughts of sleep in a heartbeat. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 3, and that was again by Charlotte Bryce. Now, a lot of these chapters do tie in to the work that they've actually done themselves to, their own books, their own characters. Some of them have brought characters from their books to the hotel. So, the book is free on Kindle. It's 31 Overlook Hotel, 31 authors, one hotel of a story. Pop over there, get your free copy of the book, and you can look on the back and get all the links for all these different authors I'm talking about. So I'm going to say goodbye to all our people on the podcast. And now we're going to carry on YouTube. So, all right. What new have I got to tell you? Not a lot, really. Mainly because I was late doing the last video. So there's only been a couple of days in between. So not much to new busy writing, plotting. I was going to share my new journal, but I can't see it now. Oh, yeah, I picked it. I love journals. I love journaling, and I picked this one up. This is the Legendary Journal, and it's a legend planner, and it's the daily one, and it's for 3 months, because I read somewhere that if you do it in smaller increments, you're more likely to actually stick to them. So my 3-month plan is for a book. So you have to do cool things like decorate your thing. September, not a lot written in really. Don't want to reveal too much anyway. But yeah, the idea is to get Rosie out published and in the space of this book. And then during Nano, I am going to get Roll of the Dice done. And that will be my next 3-month projects. There will be to get that done, edited and out. And then I'm not sure which project I'm going to go with. 3 projects that are sort of umming and ahhing. Second part of Queen of Ages, which is well overdue, or the next. I did a story last year for the Blackpool Anthology, which was a romance, which I am so tempted to carry on and make into a full story. Or I have a dark romance that is in my head that might need to come out next. So I don't know which one of those three projects to take. If you've got any thoughts, leave it below in the comments. Let me know what you think you'd like. Other than that, I'm going to keep it short, keep it sweet, and I'll see you next week. Bye.